The anime begins by introducing us to the hero Dias, who has been on the road for a month since being half-forced into a carriage leaving the royal capital. After this long and arduous journey, the driver leaves him in the middle of nowhere in an open field and tells him that this is a fitting domain for an upstart orphan. The driver then gives him a map demarcating the territory and an inventory granted to him by the king. He also informs him that this grassland is called Nezros, so from today onward, his name will be Dias Nezros. Once the driver leaves, Dias takes a look around the territory he has been given, which was granted to him by the king as a reward for his service in the war. And although he doesn't quite know what to do, it seems that a lord's duty is to live here, protect his people, and collect money from them to give to the king. After a short while, he feels somewhat relieved to find a river with clean water, but despite having walked quite a distance, he can't see anyone else, not even a single tree. Since his domain is really nothing but grass, he decides that if things don't improve in 2 days, he will leave before he starves to death. After spending the night there, the next morning he's forcibly awakened by a non-human woman named Alna, who rudely asks him who he is. He calmly tells her his name, still a little surprised and confused. So Alna then asks him what he's doing there, to which Dias simply replies that there was nowhere else to sleep. Alna thinks he's a fool, but still not satisfied. She asks him why he's come to this prairie and what his purpose is. Unable to give a half-hearted answer due to how angry she is, Dias tells her that he wants to fulfill his parents' dying wishes and be useful to people, so his purpose is to protect the weak. At those words, the horn on Alna's forehead begins to glow a bright blue, and she asks Dias why he hasn't lied to her. Dias simply tells her that it's because he has no reason to, and immediately afterward, Alna's horn glows blue again. Still very upset, she suddenly asks him if he is her ally or enemy, and even though Dias doesn't understand why she's so angry, he remembers that this is his territory, and therefore she is one of his subjects, and since he is her lord, it must bother her that he doesn't claim to be an ally of her people. With that in mind, he suddenly and firmly tells her that he is her ally, and that no matter who they face, he swears to protect her. Alna's horn glows a much more intense blue than before, which makes her wonder why and fills her with confusion. After that, she forcibly leads him in a certain direction, and they soon arrive at a small village located in that territory, which leaves Dias confused since he didn't find them earlier when he was exploring the area. Here he is taken to the tribe's chieftain, Mal, who asks Alna if she didn't see any red. Alna replies that she didn't, and that everything was blue, so Mal tells Dias that even though he claimed to be Alna's ally, she wants to know if he will also be hers. Dias affirms that he will, and explains that they are all his people, because the king ordered him to come to these lands to be their lord. This makes Alna really aggressive toward him, but Mal prevents her from attacking him and asks Dias to explain everything from the beginning. Without much hesitation, Dias tells them that when he was old enough to understand, his parents were still alive. His mother always told him to find a job to help people, and his father told him to become strong to protect the weak. Those were their last wishes, because when Dias turned 10, they both died in an epidemic. He gathered other orphans like himself, and they earned money by keeping the town clean and from the bounties for hunting weak monsters. He abided by his parents' dying wishes and tried hard to live in a way that'd make them proud. When he was 15, war broke out, and it didn't take long for enemy troops to reach a neighboring town. He enlisted in the army to protect his friends, and at that time he wasn't aware that he had a talent for fighting, but in the end, he achieved very good results in his battles. And then, after 20 years, the war came to an end, and the king rewarded him with this territory. After listening attentively, the chieftain says it's clear to her that Dias is a man willing to protect his people, which is why she wants to ask him what he would do if they weren't his people. Dias tells her that they can be neighbors without any problems, as well as allies, and the leader, seeing a deep blue glow on her horn, is relieved by his words, as is Alna. At that moment, Dias barely realizes what's happening, and the chieftain, noticing his expression, confirms once and for all that they are not his people, but rather enemies of his king. But she clarifies that even though they have been fighting against his kingdom for many years, they might not be his enemies, since he is a very intense blue, which means they should be able to get along. She finally introduces herself properly, saying that she is the chieftain of the Anakin tribe, who for a long time fought against his kingdom over the sovereignty of these grasslands. They lost a great battle 50 years ago, and the Anakin fled this place. Mal then reveals that by accumulating mana in their horns, they can use various spells, and one of them is concealment, which allows them to hide the entire village and erase their presence. Dias now understands how he didn't find them yesterday, but asks if it's alright for her to tell him this, since on the kingdom's side. Mal explains that she wouldn't have done it if he weren't blue, and that's because there's a spell called Soul Appraisal. Red indicates danger or hostility, white indicates harmlessness, and blue represents someone who brings joy or blessings. If he had lied even a little, it would have dulled toward red, but that didn't happen in his case even once, and that completely convinced her. With that settled, she tells Dias that she will give him her full support to become a great lord. Although they won't be his subjects, they will provide him with shelter and food, even some livestock, and in return, she doesn't want him to tell anyone about the existence of this village, not even the king. Dias tells her that he has nothing against them, so as long as they don't cause trouble with the kingdom, he doesn't mind them living there. With that settled, Mal tells Dias that she will lend him Alna for a while to help him with everything, so they will live together, and Alna will show him how life is in in this place. Alna overreacts to this, but Mal tells her that since she was the one who brought him, she must take responsibility until the end. Later, the Anakin men build the house where Dias will live. Here, Alna explains that when danger approaches that they can't avoid with concealment, they dismantle their dwellings and flee with them, so that's what this yurt is for. Now that he understands this, Dias thanks the men for their help, though they don't seem very pleased with him. A little while later, Alna tells him that the food and the bars, or livestock, will arrive soon. If he breeds the pair and increases the herd, he'll have a stable income, so she'll teach him how to care for them when they arrive, and she hopes he'll pay attention. Dias thanks her for that, but also decides to ask her to teach him how to get more subjects. Alna doesn't give him a very helpful answer, and asks him why he wants more subjects in his current situation. Considering he only has one yurt and enough food for himself, if he had more people, they would starve for sure after all. Dias is speechless at this logic, and then Alna gives him Matani dust, which will help him attract beasts if he spreads it around. If he hunts them and brings enough meat and hides back to the village, they can give him another yurt, depending on the number he catches. Dias is happy about this, since he's very good at hunting, especially because he doesn't need to use his head for that. After putting on his armor and carrying his battle axe, he moves far enough from the village, and since he doesn't know how much Matani dust to use, he doesn't think twice and goes with the whole thing. A few seconds later, a stampede of beasts rushes toward him, and instead of being scared, he gets into position to hunt the entire pack, so they'll give him several yurts. As soon as they reach him, he begins to take them down one after another with each blow he throws. His fighting style consists of letting himself be guided by instinct and wielding his battle axe with force, and that's all there is to it. After a while, he sees that almost half of them have escaped, but he still thinks that's enough for today. However, now he wonders how he's going to carry them all to the village. Later that afternoon, he returns with only one, and he's certain Alna is going to scold him for such a poor catch. To his surprise, Alna is astonished to see him with such a beast, and exclaims that he has taken down a black yi on his first hunt, which proves his manliness very well. Dias didn't even know that was the name of this beast, and he clarifies that this wasn't his only prey, but that he hunted almost half of the pack, but he couldn't bring them all back. Alna quickly asks him how many he's talking about, so he replies that it's about 30 or 40. This easily gets her even more excited, so she tells him that it's an incredible number, and that's why she now has a much better opinion of him. Moments later, Mal arrives to tell him that he has proven his manliness on his first outing, while Alna, all cheerful and very different from how she was before, leaves to find the men of the tribe to help. Dias is surprised not only by her change, but also because it's the first time Alna has called him by his name. And since Dias doesn't know what they mean by manliness, Mal explains that it's a man's value. Knowing how to work and being able to provide, all of that encompasses manliness. And since Alna is a grown woman, it is logical that she is happy at such manliness. Dias asks if being manly makes one attractive, to which Mal replies that being handsome or having a silver tongue doesn't fill a stomach, because if they marry someone without manliness, even the children will go hungry. For that very reason, anything other than manliness has no value for a woman, which allows Dias to see that they have very different values from those of the kingdom. Mal also tells him that since Alna is beautiful and hardworking, the engagement gift will be bigger if he wants to marry her, although Dias quickly assures her that this is not his intention. The next day, Alna greets Dias with a hearty breakfast and is genuinely pleased when he compliments her cooking. After that, she asks him what he's going to hunt today, because if he's going to gather more people here, he needs a well and a privy, and right now he can't afford to pay the craftsmen who make them. He thinks about hunting some more black gyuis, but Alna warns him that the villagers don't want him hunting the same beasts all the time, so she suggests he hunt monsters instead. Dias is aware that the flesh of monsters is not edible because it is covered in miasma, but their claws, horns, and magic stones sell for a good price. With this in mind, Alna tells him that she can use her magic to find the monsters, and assures him they'll have more fun if they go together. Before leaving, Dias and the other Anakin men are surprised to see Alna's attire for hunting. She's wearing a different kind of makeup that accentuates her beauty, and her kindness to Dias makes the other men envious. After a while, they arrive at a rocky area where Alna uses her search magic, which unexpectedly leads them to an earth dragon. Since Dias is unaware of its power, he immediately decides to attack this turtle-looking beast, but Alna quickly tells him not to, completely terrified of it. Despite this, Dias ignores her warnings and launches an attack, but the monster retreats into its shell just in time. Dias never gives up, as his strategy consists of delivering one blow after another, which has always been his fighting style. For this reason, he begins to strike his battle axe against the shell, but after doing so a few times, the edge of his weapon cracks. Faced with this, Dias concentrates to ask his battle axe to repair itself, which causes a special magic to return it to its initial state. It turns out he got this axe after defeating a shogun from a neighboring country, and it is shaped like a lion and is incredibly durable. Minor damage heals itself over time, and if he commands it to repair itself, it is restored instantly. With such a weapon, he now dedicates himself to relentlessly attacking the shell at the same spot, and after a while, when the sun sets, he finally manages to make a crack in it. Perceiving this damage, the dragon finally attacks, and one of its flames nearly hits Alna directly. Realizing she is vulnerable, the dragon tries to attack her instead, but Dias reminds himself that he made an oath, which is that no matter who they face, he will protect her. With steely determination, Dias moves faster and delivers a fatal blow to the earth dragon's neck, which is enough to defeat defeat it once and for all. After witnessing this, Alma suddenly throws herself at Diaz, completely overwhelmed, and declares through tears of joy that she will marry him.